and then continuing to track off to the east to Tunnelton. Showing you the bigger, wider view here, you can see that there's a lot more where this came from, and I'm not saying that this is per se going to be tornadic, but it is going to be possible to bring some damaging wind gusts and, of course, locally heavy rainfall. This entire storm has been dumping a whole lot of rain for basically all day. It's all associated with a cold front, and will continue to push on off to the east. As I put things in motion here, you can tell that it has really formed a line and is going to continue to push off to the east right around 25 miles per hour. So it's not moving incredibly quickly here, and so because of that, it's going to be capable of dumping a lot of water in the same place. We'll get a closer look and show you ground level as we zoom in here, and I'm just trying to get caught up with, if anything, the National Weather Service is saying to give us an update on this warning. Again, for the Bedford area, stretching down to Rabbittville, Bryantsville, and Coxton. We'll take a look at the velocity. As I said, it did look a little bit better, but nonetheless, it is still showing signs of rotation as we zoom in. And it's just that rotation is just to the south of Bedford proper, right over you folks in Yawkey. We'll go ahead and put another track on it as we move back to normal radar. It's moving off to the east around 25 miles per hour. And bear with me here, folks. We're a one-man band at this time, so I'm just trying to make sure that I give you all the information possible so you can keep you and your family safe. So near the Buda neighborhood at 12:06, so that's just about 5 minutes from now. You folks need to be getting in your safe spot. Near the Soswick Elementary and Junior High School at 12:10, 12:13 to Tunnelton. And I wouldn't be surprised to also see some flooding with the amount of actual rainfall that this storm has been dumping and how slow that it's actually been moving. We will likely see some flooded spots, especially flood-prone areas. Not going to be surprised to see some puddles at the very least of water out there. This is moving off to the east, 30 miles per hour, right over, or at least getting very, very close to Virgil, and moving toward Tunnelton in the next couple of minutes. Also, a lot of lightning. I've actually seen the lightning pick up somewhat here in the last couple of minutes and really on the last scan, which means that it is, usually means that it is strengthening, which is not a good sign that we like to see. We'll go ahead and take a look at the larger view as this entire line of storms stretching back out to our west off to Illinois, and it did produce a tornado in Illinois earlier today. So we do have that history here of this line of storms that's associated with a cold front that's at least going to cool us down the next couple of days. It does have a history of producing tornadoes and obviously a lot of wind and a lot of lightning. You know that basically if you're anywhere here in southern Indiana off to the west of I-65, we're seeing a lot of electricity in the sky, and you can certainly see all of that as we put it in on a loop and even zoom in here to Lawrence County. It does appear we're keeping that tornado warning going for at least 12 more minutes, as it's 12:03 in the morning at this time. Again, Lawrence County, this includes you folks in Bedford and the Mitchell area. So I'm checking the National Weather Service chat. I'll just walk you through exactly what I'm doing here behind the scenes. I know you can't see me, but I'm just keeping that on a loop so you can see exactly where the storm is and if it affects your community in Lawrence County. Okay, just making sure that I'm getting caught up with what exactly the National Weather Service is seeing to make sure that we are on the right page. And they are also agreeing that circulation has weakened over the last couple of minutes and it's transitioning to be more outflow dominant. So we're still going to be watching for very, very strong wind. But at least the rotation has gone down quite a bit, which is exactly what we'd like to see. But we are still going to stay on the air with you here until we're given the all clear. So we'll continue to put that in a loop. We'll show you exactly what we're talking about with the velocity and how in this last scan that's come in, it has actually lost some of that rotation. And that's why they went ahead and issued the tornado warning, not because we had a confirmed tornado on the ground necessarily, but because there was rotation on the radar and it kept coming back in the scans. So you can see where those greens and the reds meet, and that's right over the Yawkey area just to the south of Bedford and just off to the east of Bryantsville. So this is what we're talking about here, just to the south of Bedford and just to the north of Mitchell. And it has actually has appeared to weaken in the last scan that's come on in, but it still looks like there's a little bit of rotation. So we're going to keep that tornado warning going for the time being, and we'll stay on the air with you and keep you safe, because a lot of folks maybe are already sleeping. You may want to be getting a hold of them. If you have friends or family that are in the Bedford or Mitchell area at this point, and perhaps don't have a way to receive any sort of warnings, you should be calling them, telling them that they need to be in their safe spot, as there is an active tornado warning for their location at this time. Go ahead and zoom in closer here so we can get some of the smaller neighborhoods involved. So this includes Hartleyville, Terry Park, Rabbittville also included in this tornado warning. You're likely hearing those sirens going off, and hopefully it's waking up folks that were already going to sleep. Coxton, you are on the back end of this tornado warning. It does look like the rotation is past you, but nonetheless, you are still included in the warning and need to remain in your safe spot until this threat has passed. Bryantsville, looks like that rotation has moved off to your east as well, but continuing to keep this tornado warning in place. Storms moving off to the east around 25 miles per hour, producing quite a bit of lightning. You certainly know that if you've been watching these storms incoming, because they've been going all day. We've just been watching them approach from our northwest, moving off to the southeast, and here we are at right around midnight tonight. We got our first tornado warning because of that radar indicated rotation. Checking the National Weather Service chat once again to see if they're going to let this tornado warning expire, or if we're going to ride it out until 12:15. So we, for the time being, need to be staying in our safe spot, away from windows and doors, and making sure that we have that designated safe spot. We'll go ahead and put on those tornado warning tips once again for you folks that are just joining us, and give you a review of what all we're seeing on the radar right now. So finding that sturdy shelter away from windows, even if you don't have a basement, just the most interior room in your house, and that's your best bet for staying safe. It's very important that you're contacting any of your friends or family that may be in this area that perhaps were already asleep, or perhaps don't have those multiple ways of receiving the warnings that are issued for their location. Another thing about this severe weather threat that we've been talking about is simply because it's at night, because people are going to be sleeping. We want to make sure that we have multiple ways to receive those warnings. Not only that, but that the volume is up on your phone, so that if you are sleeping and a warning's issued, especially a tornado warning, you're able to actually wake up, get yourself, your family, your pets, and everybody to that designated safe spot. Say that's in the basement, what have you, wherever you and your family have predetermined. That's where you folks need to be if you are in the Mitchell or Bedford area at this time. And then also, if you're watching right now and you're not in that area, it'd be a great idea for you, go ahead and to prepare if you haven't already. So that means charging your cell phone, going ahead and putting on the ringer, turning up the volume to as loud as it can go, just to make sure that you do wake up in case tornado warning is issued in your community. Weather radio, if you don't have one, I suggest going out and getting one in the next couple of days to come. You want to have spare batteries on hand as well. Another thing, a way to prepare is going to be having that designated safe spot. You want to have a first aid kit just in case. It's better to be over prepared than under prepared, and also staying up to date on the forecast. So we're hoping that folks saw this coming, as we already had that tornado watch. We've been forecasting it here for several days now. And this is what we're seeing unfold at this point. Again, it is just radar indicated, but we should treat it as a confirmed tornado for the Bedford area and stretching down to Yawkey. This is in southern Indiana in Lawrence County. We'll go ahead and stop the loop and then put the tracker on so you can know exactly when it's going to be reaching you. Say if you are in eastern Lawrence County. So we have Lawrence well, at this point it's 12:09. In about 10 minutes or so, it'll be around Lawrence Port and continuing to move on off to the east around 25 miles per hour. Even whenever they do expire this tornado warning, if they do here at 12:15, it's still going to be, this whole storm is going to be capable of producing damaging wind gusts. We're talking up to 70 miles per hour. And as I mentioned, that could be as damaging as a weak tornado out there. So still need to be watching out for straight line wind damage as well as very heavy rainfall and lightning that you've just been dealing with, or it's been lighting up the sky pretty much all day long as this storm has been approaching us from the northwest. So in Lawrence County, right over the Mitchell area, we do have that tornado warning remaining in effect at this time. It is now 12:10. We have 5 more minutes on this warning. As I go and check the National Weather Service chat, looks like Inglewood. This is where some of the heaviest rain is as well. You guys are included in this warning. Again, a tornado warning until 12:15 at least. So let's make sure that we are going to be continuing this warning, or canceling it rather, at in the next couple of minutes, and see what the National Weather Service is seeing on radar and seeing if we're seeing the same thing. So they are seeing it continue to weaken over the last couple of radar scans, which again is good news, but we are going to keep it going for at least a couple more minutes here for the Bedford area. We'll go ahead and put the velocity on again, and that's what we're seeing. That's how we're able to see if the storm is actually rotating. And once again, we do need to be treating it like it's an actual tornado that's on the ground, not just that it's radar indicated. We need to be in our safe spot. If you are in the Bedford area, that's where we're seeing that rotation, and this is a really slow mover. There's just torrential downpours coming down right now with the storm, a whole lot of lightning with it, and a lot of wind as well. So I'll try to see how strong the wind is out there. It doesn't look like we're getting a very good reading as I kind of click around and see what the wind is doing around that location. Okay, we have some stronger wind right in the rotation, which is right over the Bedford area. So if you are in Bedford proper, you need to stay in your safe spot, away from windows and doors. If you have any sort of family or friends that live in Bedford, please give them a call. Make sure, or just keep calling them. If they are not answering, say that they are probably still asleep, you'll want to give them a call and wake them up so that they know that they do have a tornado warning in effect right now, and they need to be making sure that they're keeping themselves, their family, and their pets safe, getting to the lowest level of your home and staying away from windows and doors. It's now 12:12. We're still seeing quite a bit of lightning, very, very heavy rainfall with this storm as it's slowly passing on off to the east, and is still tornado warned at this time. And we're looking to continue this warning for the next couple of minutes and need to remain in our safe spot. It doesn't mean watching on TV. You can actually be watching us on your phone at this time through YouTube, through Facebook Live. You can watch any sort of streaming device that's handheld, and we'll be live with you, walking you through the storm until this threat has passed. And actually, this storm is slowed down even more, so it's now moving to the east only at 20 miles per hour. So it is a pretty slow mover here and dumping a lot of rain over the same area. So please remember that flying debris is dangerous if you're caught without shelter. Hopefully nobody, of course, is outside. I know it's midnight, it's very late. A lot of folks are already inside, but also they're inside sleeping and may not have awakened from having these warnings going off. You're likely hearing those sirens though in Lawrence County at this time. This is a rather rural area of central Lawrence County, as the National Weather Service put it. And, oh, okay, they went ahead and continued that warning, and I'm going to get that information on here very quickly as I stay on the air with you. So still moving east at 20 miles per hour. It is still radar indicated, which means that just the radar is picking up on that rotation. And we're going to keep it going, pushing off to the east. Just trying to get a little bit more information. And it is radar indicated, which just means we haven't had a confirmed tornado on the ground, but because it is the overnight, we're not going to be able to see if there's a tornado actually on the ground or not, unfortunately. So because tornadoes are so hard to see and confirm at nighttime, just or at least act and treat it like it is an actual tornado on the ground at this point in Lawrence County. And be just staying in your safe spot, take cover, and remain there until the threat has passed. Just seeing if there's any more information. It does not appear so. Okay. Basically, this storm is we'll call it pulsing. So it's losing a little bit of strength, then it's gaining more strength, and it's not really being consistent with our radar scan. So we're going to continue to push that tornado warning on off to the east, this is the new one that was just issued. So here we are at 12:15, Fayetteville, Coxton, stretching down to Bryantsville. You folks are not included on this new warning. You still want to make sure you're staying in your shelter just because there's so much heavy rain and a lot of wind where you are, but you are no longer in that tornado warning. Coxton down to Hartleyville and Rabbittville, you're not included in this warning. However, Bedford proper, you are still included in this new tornado warning that was just issued. Crawford, you're now included in this tornado warning that's in effect for 30 minutes more. So here we are again, 12:16, and we have a new tornado warning. We're going to put a tracker on here, and we'll see exactly when it gets to your location. Like I said, it did slow down quite a bit, and so it's really going to be taking its time moving on out of here. But it is still showing signs of rotation. And we'll put the tracker on where we actually have that rotation. Even if you are in, say, the Sparksville area, you should still be taking cover, even if that rotation isn't over you. Even if you're not in that tornado warned area, this storm is still going to head in your direction. So that would be my recommendation. We'll go ahead, put that tracker, moving on off to the east. And okay, so this does appear to be a fairly rural area. Weddellville until it'll be near you at 12:35. And we'll see if we can get a few other areas included on this in just a moment. Okay, not able to pick up on any smaller communities, but we'll do a little bit of a scan, zoom in a little bit closer and see what we can find as we get down to ground level. Again, right over the Bedford area, there's a tornado warning. It's radar indicated and is just about to, the worst part of the storm is about to cross over into Crawford in Lawrence County. But in the path of this storm, as if this storm continues on its current track, it would be moving near you folks in Freetown, heading toward Seymour in a while because it is moving so very slow. You do have some time, but this is your heads up now that these storms are going to continue to track on off to the east. And not just this tornado warned storm, but we have a lot more where that came from. As you can see, this huge line of showers and storms that have been developing off to our northwest pretty much all day do have that history of producing a tornado earlier in Illinois. And some very strong wind. It's really just been going all day long. Very heavy rainfall. We have several flood advisories because of these storms that have been pretty slow moving and dumping a lot of rain over the same area. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another flood advisory be issued actually for our area. But at this time, we're more concerned right now about that tornado warning, as the rest of the warnings are just outside of our area. But this kind of just shows you how large this line of storms is, because it's stretching from here all the way out into central Illinois. So we'll put it in motion so you can actually see how this storm is actually propagating and how it's moving on off to the east and is eventually going to be in the metro area. It's just going to take several hours for it actually to do that. But that's why we do have the tornado watch that's in effect for us, and this includes all of our southern Indiana counties, everybody shaded in this pink color, and then that also includes the Louisville Metro and all of our counties surrounding it. So if you're watching from Taylorsville, Shelbyville, or Newcastle, you folks are all included in this tornado watch. And so what the watch just means is that all of those ingredients are present in the atmosphere for us to see these storms become tornadic and produce a tornado. Even if they don't produce a tornado, though, we're also looking at damaging wind as one of those main threats. And obviously we saw on the radar frequent lightning. This storm has been producing a lot of lightning just all day long. Heavy rainfall that's leading to some flash flooding that's just out of our area, and that's that green color that you're seeing on the screen there as well. Hail hasn't been that big of a deal for us thus far. We've just seen hail that's been really sub-severe criteria, so we're talking smaller than the size of a quarter. It doesn't mean that these storms aren't capable of producing some larger hail, but I'd say that our main threats are going to be tornado and damaging wind gusts associated with these storms. Another quick look at the tornado warning over Lawrence County until 12:45. It is now 12:20, and we're looking at you folks around the Crawford area. They're continuing to move the warning on off to the east as in keeping up with the storm. So we'll take a look at velocity once again to take a look at what this storm is doing while I go ahead and try to familiarize myself or check what the National Weather Service is saying as they're continuing to take a look at this storm. And as we've been talking about the rotation, sometimes it's getting tighter in one scan from the radar, and then it kind of weakens, and then it gets tighter again. So it's just that type of storm that is going to continue to just kind of gain energy and then lose energy. And so that's why they're keeping that, they had kept that warning expanded on off to the east. But at this point, just taking a look at the rotation that we're seeing off to the east of Bedford, that doesn't look near as tight as what we looked at just about 5 minutes ago. Again, though, it could continue to pulse and tighten back up. So we still need to be staying safe and staying in our safe spot as if there is a confirmed tornado out there. Because it is dark, there's no way to tell if there is actually a tornado on the ground or not, and so we still have that it's radar indicated, and they're keeping this tornado warning on there. It does appear we're going to continue to have this warning, and they're not going to be canceling it, so we're going to be hanging on here with you until the warning has actually expired. But it still appears that the warning is moving off to the east at 20 miles per hour. And they do want to remind you that the heavy rainfall from the storm, so you're seeing those darker reds, it's just torrential downpours that we're seeing with the storm. That heavy rainfall would make it very difficult to nearly impossible to actually see a tornado. So we just need to be treating it as if there is an actual tornado out there. Once again, I know I'm jumping around here a lot, but I want to take another look at the velocity scan. Our brand new scan is coming back and it's just flipping around a little bit. So over the Mitchell area, and just to the south of Bedford. We're continuing to track that area as it moves very, very slowly on off to the east. So showing you again exactly what we're dealing with here into the next several hours. And I'll go ahead and I'll put Futurecast on here in just a moment. We're expecting some more severe weather with this line of storms just from the history that we've seen. Not necessarily tornadoes, but we'll say severe thunderstorms. And the main threat is that we're going to have those damaging wind gusts, especially as that line begins to approach. So I'm going to pull up Futurecast and we'll just take it hour by hour and dissect basically exactly what we could see into the next couple of hours. So this is essentially what we're seeing right now, where we have that storm that's over Lawrence County in the Bedford area, and then we have the line of showers and storms that's yet to approach the rest of us here in Kentucky. And so going into the next hour or so, we continue to see that line track on off to the east and really start to fill in, especially in southern Indiana. That's where it's starting to fill in the most into the next couple of hours. And this is going to be pretty much an all-night event for us, as I'm not expecting the storms to fully move on out of here until at least 5 o'clock in the morning. So as we go ahead into about this is after 3 o'clock in the morning, we'll probably start to see those storms around the metro, and then still trailing off in Newcastle and the Madison area, stretching down to Frankfort. So we have several more hours to go of this severe weather threat, so we need to be staying weather aware. And if you're outside of Lawrence County, outside of the Bedford and Mitchell area, you need to be preparing now for that threat of severe weather. If a warning is issued to you, you need to have a way to receive it first and foremost, and you have to have a way to actually hear it. So if you are headed off to bed, I'd highly encourage you to go ahead and make sure your cell phone is on the charger and you have your volume on at full volume so that you have a way to wake up for the warning. Of course, you stay up to date with the forecast, which is exactly what you're doing now just by watching, keeping that cell phone charged, as I mentioned. Now, if we do get that very strong wind out there, it could certainly knock out power. And then if your cell phone's or not fully charged at that point, that could cause issues if a warning would be sent to your location. So we want to make sure that cell phones are charged and you have really more than one way, at least two ways to receive a warning if it's issued in your location. Weather radio, if you have it, hopefully you do, and some extra batteries. And if you haven't already planned a safe space and told your family about it, I highly recommend again to do so now so that you don't wait until it's too late for when that warning is actually issued to you. So just a few tips there, just especially because we are dealing with the severe threat at night. It's especially important that we are making sure that we have ways to actually wake up when that warning, when and if we should say, that warning is actually issued to your location. So let's take another look at radar and see what we're dealing with. It appears that they went ahead and dropped that warning for Lawrence County, but they added a severe thunderstorm warning for Orange County. So this includes French Lick down to Patoka Lake and over to Jasper and Du Bois County there. So Crawford, Du Bois, in Orange County until 1 o'clock in the morning because of the very strong wind that we're going to start to see, the lightning, the heavy rainfall, and potentially hail up to about the size of a quarter. But because we did get that tornado warning to expire, we're going to go ahead and hop off the air here as soon as I show you the larger view of the radar. But because that tornado warning threat, or the tornado threat I should say, is expired at this point, we're going to go ahead and send you back to programming, but make sure that you are staying weather aware, and we'll cut in if another warning is issued.